Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 97 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous episode then, the Hungarian Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But heading into this round then, the two upgrades we have, the major engine power update and the minor rear downforce, take us ahead of Renault now for the first time in a long while to the top of the standings of the performance chart. And let's see if we can hold on to this. Obviously last season we were ahead of Renault at this kind of stage of the season, I think it was, and then Renault really ploughed on the performance parts right towards the end and kind of overtook us, and obviously inevitably allowed HOCKENHEIM to take the championship. So we're in a really good position now. Spa, I think, with the engine power, that extra engine power, I think this could be a very good Grand Prix for both of us. But all along down the field, some interesting workings there. Williams really now making strides to slowly catch up to Force India there, who are really not doing too well now, with the likes of the midfielders, Sauber, Toro Rosso, and Mercedes all still working slowly to try and catch up to Red Bull, who are now in a kind of second phase of plateauing, with McLaren with a slight minor update, I think that is, to try and catch up to Renault. But yeah, I think this could be a very good Grand Prix for us, and hopefully this is the start of us building momentum with the R&D. Whether that will translate onto the track, we'll have to see, because this car definitely has been a little bit up and down this season, as it was last year, and the Renault and McLaren still might just turn out with some alien-like pace in a straight line and be able to match us there. But we'll go into Q1 with good positivity there, setting one flying lap. We're up into P9. I went on for a second one and I thought I'll go out again for a consecutive lap time, but I actually ran out of fuel about 2/3 of the way into the lap time. I was actually a little bit up, but not too much, but I actually went low fuel mode, so that was a bit annoying. But thankfully for me, we did make into Q2, so that was a little bit of a worry, because it was towards the end of the session, but we make it through in P14 there, but Vettel top of the session, so clearly those upgrades working well, and hopefully I can just kind of, bring up to speed a little bit in Q2. Q1 is always the AI already straight on it, whereas it takes me about one session to kind of warm up into things. So we go into Q2 then, into turn 1, a little bit early on the brakes and the entry, not as aggressive as I could have been into turn 1, so I think there's some time to gain there. And then as we move on to the last corner, as we move through obviously a very long lap, so no point kind of showing you the entire thing, where we move through the bus stop chicane, then a little bit of oversteer on the exit, as there always is. Across the line, it's going to be P10 though, so not too amazing. P10 still will take us through into the top 10 shootout. But as we move through to the end of the session, then we're down to P11, eventually P13, as we make our way around for our second and flying lap. Then as Vettel goes provisional fastest once again in this session there. Obviously that's not pole, that's just to get into the top 10. And so you can see straight away through turn 1 we gain just over 1/10 on the entry and exit there, so looking good. I'm going to carry forward that speed, and the car is feeling really quite good through the corners, able to kind of chuck it around and feel confident that the car would give me the grip, especially in the exit of the corners then. And I could almost, I know you can't really feel it, but I almost felt like I could feel the extra engine power. But through to the last corner, losing a little bit of time there, but still gained a whole heap on the bottom, on the top right. So I thought this would be a really mega lap across the line, and to my dismay, it really was not, because we're up into P11, but not into the top 10 shootout, as Vettel is 1.3 faster than me there in Q2, and I am just left with my jaw to the floor, because I thought that was a really nice lap. I gained so much time on that second flyer, and yet Vettel was so much faster. Everyone was a lot faster, but Vettel especially just had that extra edge in the same car, and clearly his upgrades are working wonders. So I don't know what that is down to. It could just be, end of the day, he's beating me fair and square. He's that much faster than me around this circuit, but I don't want that to be the case. So hopefully in the race we can try and do something from P11. Obviously we have a free choice of tyres, so that might be something we can work towards, but left with a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, to be honest, because I thought, I was just hoping for a lot better. So gonna have to go to Sunday then, try and make the best of it from P11 and try and take the fight in some other way, maybe with some good strategy work and aggressive driving into the opening few laps. But let's go to the grid then and see how everyone else lines up for the race on Sunday.
In the 48 races held at Spa between 1950 and 2015, the race winner has only started from pole position on 16 occasions. Qualifying yesterday may have set the order for today, but expect the unexpected here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As the saying goes, of course, anything can happen. And you know what? It usually does. So here we are once again at Spa-Francorchamps, with 19 corners, 9 to the right and 10 to the left, and a lap distance of 4.35 miles. An average lap speed in the dry here is around 145 miles per hour. It's a very quick circuit indeed. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. No grid penalties, no mitigating circumstances, just a poor qualifying performance and a very disappointing start position for them today.
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Charles Leclerc and Sainz, Van Dorn, Alonso, Hartley and the engineer, Verstappen, Gasly, Lance Stroll and Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Magnussen, Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon. Sirotkin and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So onto the starting grid, pretty overcast. It's going to be like this for the entire race, it looks like there. Maybe towards the end it gets a little bit sunnier. But we've been upgraded to P10 on the grid because Nico Hulkenberg has been given an engine penalty of some sort. So he's down to P14, so that's good for us. One more place gained there before the 5 red lights go out. But strategy-wise, interesting one really, because it's going to be a one-stop. The default says to do super soft to the medium tire. But I actually played around the concept with going from soft to super soft and then super soft to soft. And both times, the strategy even mathematically says that it's faster to not even use the mediums the entire race. So we're going to go with that. I toyed with the idea of doing soft to super soft, so going on the slower tyre first, but then in the end, actually mathematically it said I would go faster with the super softs at the start, and I thought myself as well, I'd rather be on the same tyre as everyone here. Despite having a free choice, I'd rather still stick to the fastest compound right at this beginning, because we can gain a fair amount at this start, and also around Spa especially, I don't want to get held up behind slower cars on a track like this where it is kind of fairly easy to kind of waltz away on the straight. So I wanted to be able to try and gain as many positions as I can. So that's what I'm going to go for. Super softs, try and drag them out as much as we can, and then go on to soft tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. It's a strategy I think we did last season as well, and the previous 2 seasons actually. So it's not one that I'm unfamiliar with. So just looking forward to this now. Just dead straight ahead. Vettel's on the second row of the grid with Hamilton on pole, but that was really via the glitch of the top 10 shootout. So I think Vettel might have a very good chance of being towards the lead of this Grand Prix very early on, so we need to try our best to try and match him in the opening kind of few laps and try and gain as many positions as we can. So here we go then to 5 red lights to the Belgium Grand Prix, a very overcast Belgium Grand Prix here. 5 red lights go out and we're underway for 22 laps around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. It's a good start for us actually there. So into turn 1, we're going to take to the inside, but oh my god, even bigger dive bomb there from the Red Bull car. I think that was Verstappen there, and he's dive bombed so many with me, and so we're up into P7, but Verstappen I think was 2 positions back from me in I think P12, so he's up into P6. A mega start there for the Dutchman as we try and swing through and defend against the Renault. I think that was Nico Hulkenberg trying to do the best job he can at attacking me, but now we look behind, we're getting away from him, and now we look ahead to a fight. Verstappen on the outside there of the Sauber of Leclerc, who's had a very good top 10 shootout, and as of late has been a star man in the kind of top 6, top 5 fight, I guess you could say. But we're going to swing through onto the end of lap 1 now. Back straight where we're able to make some passes maybe in this Ferrari car, use the extra engine power to good use, but you can see there's a whole gaggle of cars now, and immediately though on the minimap I can suss out that Vettel's already into the lead of the Grand Prix. Then how about that as we now go down the inside of Verstappen there. Valtteri Bottas is the slow one holding up this pack as we go side by side. He jockeys for position. He goes down the inside of Leclerc and tries to re-overtake him there, unsuccessful, and actually gets wayward on the last corner as Vettel goes across the line for a purple lap time. So confirmation there, our teammate is indeed leading the Belgian Grand Prix as we're now round the outside of the Finn, trying to make this overtake finished, but he's actually got some pretty good straight line speed. So the Mercedes car obviously has done some upgrades as of late, so it may not be quite there yet, but it is giving me a very good fight in a straight line as we have to go on the outside up the hill to the Kemmel Straight, and we just about have the bigger balls to be up into P5 now. But Leclerc absolutely flying out there in P4, and it might just be P3. Yes, it is. Leclerc overtakes Ricciardo in a straight line there down the inside at the end of the Kemmel Straight. He's up into P3. Leclerc doing a fabulous job in the Sauber there, and Ricciardo looks like he's struggling. Has he got damage maybe? He's really struggling now round the outside cleanly there, and it's going to be us up into P4, and I'm pretty sure Ricciardo does have damage because he immediately falls back away and holds up Valtteri Bottas as well as we move on through the Grand Prix. He falls back so much so that Fernando Alonso now is the one fighting him. Alonso was down down the order, and this is actually for a position like way down in the bottom half of the top 10, and Ricciardo, you can see just about, maybe, hopefully you saw that on that camera shot, he's got some front wing damage there, so unfortunate stuff for the Australian. As we now move on to the end of lap 5, onto lap 6, chasing after Leclerc now to try and get up into P3. Second place is still Lewis Hamilton hanging on, but Vettel has really extended that gap there on the minimap, you can see, in first place. But we can try and do some good work here and try and get some clean air once we've got Leclerc, and then I think it's only a matter of time before we catch up to Hamilton, and so we could make this a 1-2 for Ferrari sooner rather than later in this Grand Prix. So this has pretty much so far been a dream start for me in terms of the aggression levels, keeping out of trouble, not getting held up in traffic. And so here we go now, DRS open, we'll go to the right. It's a very simple move. For the DRS upgrades we've done, our car is an absolute rocket ship in a straight line with DRS open there. And so we're up into P3, although to be fair to Leclerc, he keeps me pretty damn honest because I don't have the best entry and exit towards that right-hander. And so he has a pop on the outside. We defend into the very understeery right-hander as we go to the heart of Sector 2. So Leclerc definitely showing that the Sauber has been much improved this season, but eventually Vettel will come in for his first pit stop, as well as Lewis Hamilton. So I would guess both these guys are going to go onto medium tyres, and so like I said, I'm going to stretch these supers a little bit longer and go onto soft tyres. So that will be my advantage now. I have clean air right now, and also I will have the soft tyres v the mediums at the end of this Grand Prix, so it's not over yet. So Vettel might have embarrassed me in qualifying, but I still have a very good chance at this race win maybe later on in the race. And another spanner in the works might just be 2/3 through that lap there. This full safety car gets called out here, and so we're all going to slow down, and so we might be able to jump Hamilton in this pit stop phase, and so it might just be a 1-2 already for Ferrari under the safety car, but that is why the safety car got called out. The Sauber stricken there of Ericsson, I think that was, so kind of good at least for Leclerc that he was doing so well, so he's not the one hindered. Ericsson the one that parks up there with an engine failure, and so we're going to come in, and like I said, we might be able to jump Hamilton here, and so under the safety car on the restart it'll be a 1-2 for Ferrari, and so immediately we could go toe-to-toe with Vettel for the race lead once we go green. But down the pit lane we go, then we have to make sure we actually get this, because I don't quite know, but theoretically you would think we could jump Hamilton here because everyone's slowed down on the safety car, and yes we do, and so there we are. P2 there, Vettel is in P1, he's already caught the safety car as we go up the hill then, and so now we just size up our tyres, get the tyres prepared, and also go low fuel, low ERS, and psych ourselves up for the restart. But P4 is Carlos Sainz, P5 is going to be Max Verstappen, P6 is Leclerc, just ahead of both Toro Rossos of Brendan Hartley and Pierre Gasly there, so Leclerc doing a great job. And to be fair, Verstappen, remember Verstappen was even further back from me, and so he's up into P5, I think that was, like I said, so he's doing a great job as well. But we're the one with the maximum recovery, and now we're the one trying to maybe attack the race leader for the win, as we now are going to go green through the last few corners. Then Vettel bolts a little bit early, not able to keep right on the back of him, but to be fair, it wasn't too bad of a restart compared to my historical bad restarts of safety cars versus the AI on this F1 2018 game. And so through turn 1 he gains a fair bit on the traction there, but we're going to be patient because the slipstream is going to be so powerful here, as we know, at Spa. And so up the hill it's going to be a simple case of no DRS of course, but overtake mode and rich mix, and let's just sit here in the slipstream and try and see if we can gain enough here. We're gaining, but I just don't know if we're going to have the final legs in 8th gear without DRS here on the restart. Vettel does pull to the inside to go defensive. We look on the outside, not going to work out. Vettel pulls in and slows down quite a fair bit in mid-apex there. We make some contact as it's a tiny, kind of almost like a mini brake check, but I think it was more so Vettel just letting off the throttle there as he went a little bit deep, but ultimately he's still P1, I'm P2, and instead in the later laps it's going to be Carlos Sainz who makes a move P3 ahead of Lewis Hamilton then, although Hamilton comes back then as Sainz goes deep and hesitates on the throttle there. So the Spaniards side by side with the Brits, Hamilton fighting back in the, I guess, improved Mercedes car clearly this weekend. It looks like pretty damn decent actually, to kind of have a bit of a fight there with the Renault, which used to waltz away in a straight line versus the Mercedes car. Eventually Hamilton does have to give up that position there, and now he's got the close company of Verstappen, the 2 Toro Rossos, and Leclerc, who has actually been passed by the Toro Rossos already, because remember Leclerc was ahead of both Toro Rossos on the restart here, but now Hamilton really is the blockade, and so that might be the fight to watch down the order. But for us, we're going to still try and chase after and keep Vettel honest at this stage. It's just about 1 second between us two, and so let's try and keep that through and just wait for the DRS and for our time to shine maybe. But as we go on through the Grand Prix, it's going to be Toro Rosso on Red Bull action there. Hamilton's already been overtaken by these two, but it's going to be Brendan Hartley up the order ahead of Verstappen then, as Gasly is now ahead of Hamilton as well down the Kemmel Straight. So eventually the Mercedes car is going to fall away. It may be improved improved, but not that much improved to defend against these guys who are pretty damn good in the acceleration and straight line departments there. As Fernando Alonso is right behind Valtteri Bottas, and then all the way down the order is Nico Hülkenberg, who's not even in the points-paying positions yet. Remember, he was in P14 due to engine penalty at the start of this race, but he really hasn't recovered at all in this Grand Prix, whereas his teammate at least is up in P3 trying to do some defensive work. But Hartley now is on the outside. Does Carlos Sainz have an issue with his car or damage as Hartley swings round the outside of Blanchimont there into the bus stop? He's up into P3. The Kiwi man doing a great job now flying the flag for Toro Rosso there. Gasly not too far behind, but Sainz, does he have damage? Let's see. We'll have to see how that develops later into the Grand Prix. But now we move back to our POV. Lap 14, and we're within DRS of Sebastian Vettel, so could this be a chance for us to maybe close up and finally make a move for P1 in this Grand Prix? We've got plenty of fuel to burn. We're overtaking on an ERS up the hill as we just about wrestle the car in a straight line right in the middle of the hill. Open up DRS, and here we go now, gaining the speed, and this time the difference is compared to last. We have that DRS open there. Again, Vettel goes defensive to the inside. It's a purple lap time. We're going to swoop to the inside. Vettel's in us! Vettel made contact there. The sparks were flying, and we've got major front wing damage now as we swoop to the inside. Bit of contact made, front wing end played off, lock up on the front left tyres. We went in the grass a little bit there, and we're now a little bit shaken and stirred, but we're definitely not a Martini from James Bond. We're a Ferrari car that's got a lot of damage now in this Grand Prix. In second place is now Hartley in third. Could he catch up to us? Who knows? The performance difference from the Ferrari to the Toro Rosso has been so big this weekend. We could maybe just about manage to hang around and keep a podium, maybe not second. I think Hartley might have the speed to catch us, but we could pull through in a podium still, as you can see Verstappen, Sainz and the rest still fighting. You got a whole gaggle of cars, 1, 2, 3, I've lost count, like 6, 7 cars within like one camera shot there. So if these guys keep on fighting, we could maybe just about pull off a miracle here and still come home with the podium, despite having a bit of orange to red front wing damage there on the left hand side. Such is the kind of performance advantage we now have at Ferrari around, especially here at the Spa. You know, in a straight line we're going to gain still time. We're just going to be through every corner. We might lose some, but also even that is going to be just every right-hander through the left-handers. Most of the right-hand side, the front wing's going to do most of the work in the game terms. Not in real life, it doesn't work like that in real life, but in the game it works like that. So we should be able to pull through maybe. So let's monitor this and see how we do. And so for now we'll remain out in P2 and just do the best job we really can. And for now, the car's not feeling too terrible. It certainly isn't ideal in every right-hander, but it's doing okay for now. And like I said, those cars keep on fighting. We could do a lot better than you might think. But we've already had one spanner in the works thrown into this race. We're going to have a second one here as another safety car is thrown out now with 7 laps to go. And so now this makes things interesting here, because now, well, it's going to help us because we can make a pit stop on the safety car and effectively change our front wing, and we're going to bunch up with the rest of the grid. But like I said, with the gap we had on the mini-map to the Toro Rosso car, I generally thought we could have maybe just limped home for at least minimum P3, P4 in this race. But now with the pit stop, there's no point not making one under the safety car. So with the pit stop, I'll fall back behind, and so now it's a case of, instead of limping home, it's a case of full out attack, and we have to try and get as high up as we can, because by the time we come out of the pit lane, we will probably be down the order outside the points paying position. So this is going to be a mega recovery drive now for us after the safety car is called in here. But we're going to have a quick look at the replay then of the incident there. Vettel going slow mid-corner, and that's where the contact was made. So simple and so quick did the front wing come off there on the left-hand side. And on board from Vettel, it was a very odd situation. He went defensive to the middle and then went too deep into the corner like he did initially, but then he swipes back a lot more than he ever did. And of course, I had so much more momentum coming from left to right of the circuit to cut into the apex of the right-hander, so I'm really not too sure how to call that. Obviously, I'm going to blame Vettel because I'm the driver that came off worse, but I don't know how you really call that, because Vettel did still kind of have the corner, but at the same time, there was room to have gone down the inside, so obviously I went for it being a racing driver. So yeah, just a bit of a weird one, but we move on to the safety car then. That's in the past. I can't kind of toil over that too much. What's done is done. And so very weird is on lap 17, I was assuming the safety car was going to come in now on this lap, because it came out on lap 15, and so usually in the game it stays out for 2 laps, but it decided to go out for 1 more lap. And so I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but this is going to help Vettel, basically, because one more lap on the safety car means one less lap that I can make a recovery drive here. So I'm going to have to wait until the end of lap 18 on to lap 19 to make our restart here. And so that's essentially only going to be 4 full laps then to make a recovery here. So I don't know if Vettel got on the radio and said, oh, you know, whatever caused the safety car there is too much danger. I need to continue on for one more lap. But whatever the case is, we now wait for the restart here. Bit of an awkward situation as I overtake Van Dorn on the line, even though it's not completely gone green yet, and I can't overtake him yet because you have to pass the safety car line. But in the end, we get past him through the last corner and we're up into P13 then. So with 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix, it's a P13 to question mark challenge here on these not new set of super softs. These are slightly worn, 10% worn, but that's not too bad really. And compared to medium tyres, you can see here out tractioning Sergio Perez completely there. These super softs against all these medium tyre runners. Well, I mean, I thought the soft tyres were going to feel pretty good against them. The super softs are going to feel like I've got superpowers against them. So hopefully we literally can fly past people, and that's exactly what we'll do against Kevin Magnussen now down the inside of Pouon, then on the outside to the next right hand of the long right and then the left, kind of an elongated chicane in a way, and we're up the order now in a kind of a sandwich there. We've got Nico Hülkenberg just up the road. We're in a Haas sandwich for now, so we have to get past Romain Grosjean first, but Hülkenberg, we might just embarrass him here by re-overtaking him essentially now in this Grand Prix, but we've got a lot of cars fighting now, 2 by 2 here, so we have to play this patient. We need to make sure we don't lose any bit of our front wing once again this Grand Prix, and play this a bit more safe basically, because some points are better than no points really in this Grand Prix now for us. As I try to find my way past down the inside of Valtteri Bottas, but he pinches me into that first apex there, and Grosjean has still got a nose in on the left hand side, but eventually we will slot in up into P10, so already 1 point now in the championship this would be. Can we send one down the inside? No, had a little bit of a look, but thought better of it because we've got side-by-side action there between Leclerc and Hülkenberg, so let's be patient and now in a straight line try and get Bottas maybe up the hill or maybe just after on the Kemmel straight, as Hülkenberg looks to have a little pop on Leclerc, maybe up the crest. Here we go, we've got a literal 6-car train there, so this could get quite close together. So here we go now, move to the right, get the slipstream off Bottas, then try and pull some slipstream off Leclerc as Hülkenberg's altered there. We have a little look down the inside, but I'm so wary of having any bit of contact now with these guys. I got a little bit too maybe slow on the right hander. We're instead going to make a move on the outside of Bottas now to make the move there. So a little bit cautious, yes, but for good reason. Obviously we literally had an accident at that corner, so I was very, very cautious into that right-hander. And so now we wait. On lap 20, Hülkenberg's going to make a move on the Toro Rosso. This is Pierre Gasly, who's going a little bit slow. I think he's got an issue, maybe, as we now try to go down the inside of Hülkenberg. We have to lift off, though, not to make any contact with Nico there. And we're still trying to find some space. We find some down the inside. Can we make this stick? We're going to have to try and pinch Hülkenberg, but he's still got the car there, so we have to give him the room equally. And so now we're neck and neck across the line onto the lap 21, the second last lap of the Grand Prix, then dueling with my championship rival once again at a Grand Prix circuit. This time it's for a lot less P8 and P9 here, and despite having the better traction, that Renault is going to pull through in a straight line. I guess Hülkenberg right up into rich mix and overtake mode on ERS as well, and is able to get ahead of us as we just about manage to keep it in a straight line up the hill, as we've got some dirty air in the worst part, literally the crest of the apex in the middle of the hill. And now we're going to pull through with DRS, but we're going to get boxed in a little bit with the Toro Rosso, and Hülkenberg makes a very good dive down the inside there of Gasly and round the outside. It's a very nice move there for the German. We've got yellow flags behind us for some reason, but we go on the outside of Pierre Gasly, who clearly has some sort of issue because he's not going as fast as he was before. And so now once again me and Hülkenberg align astern, and he's now going to get on the back of Leclerc pretty damn soon on the second last lap now on the back straight through Blanchimont on the outside. This will be very, very close, but it's a great move there for Hülkenberg, but Leclerc comes back, and now can we make a double pass maybe? We have a little bit of a lunge, but think better of it. I need to think. I was probably going to get pinched off and squeezed off there, and so instead we opt for the move on the outside, the second time of asking on Leclerc, who's got front wing damage there. You can see on the right hand side of his end plate there, it was chopped off just about, you hopefully saw on the bottom left of your screen. And so with front wing damage, we're ahead easily into turn 1, and we're up into P7, and now it's a case of now can we try and overtake Hülkenberg and maybe even this last car of the Mercedes, I think, of Lewis Hamilton. So could we get up into P5? We're on the last lap of the Grand Prix, the last few corners and straights here to do this. Sebastian Vettel will indeed win the Belgian Grand Prix, unfortunately, but can I recover to P5? Here we go. It's going to have to be 3 3 wide down the inside of Hamilton and Hulkenberg. Literally, you could fit a piece of paper between our cars there and nothing more. That is so close. We make it happen up into P5 on the last lap of the Grand Prix, the last opportunity to make the pass, and so we will recover up into P5. And so in the end, I am pretty damn happy with that. It could have been much more, but with all circumstances, I'm going to class that as a pretty damn good race there up into P5. Get in there.
A great win then for the Maranello team today. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So Vettel brings home the win for Ferrari then, and still a pretty damn good day in the office as we finish ahead of Romeo, Fernando, Alonso and Ricciardo. So we will still maintain a lead and actually extend our lead a little bit somewhat to most of those drivers. Obviously Verstappen though does outscore us there, and as well as Vettel, but it will just mean that the kind of fight behind us gets ever closer as P2 all the way down to P7. Look how close that fight is between P2 to P7. That is a madness. And you got to think at the moment that's good for me in terms of these guys keep on fighting each other, and I just hopefully stay even more out of the way as I did here. Obviously we kind of got stuck into things today, but if I try and stay out of their way and just do the business and quietly get points, it could be a case of doing a bit of a Fernando Alonso from 2012 and just being very consistent and maintaining a lead here in this championship. But it is getting very frosty from P2 down to P7 there in the Drivers' Championship, and the Constructors, we maintain the lead. Obviously Vettel getting the win does help there for our fight against Renault, who are keeping us somewhat honest. Obviously if Renault rock up and get a 1-2, that's a whole heap of points, so it's good that Vettel got the win there just to keep us ahead by that decent margin here. So we'll go to the end of the race now with some questions from Claire.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went? You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy?
Going to compliment the power unit, of course. We had the upgrades this weekend, and I think they worked well and helped us to charge back into that race kind of P5.
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash?
With here, I didn't know really what to say, and I didn't want it to end up being a negative sort of thing, so I said I'm going to have, I thought I had suspension damage. In the end, that might be a rep decrease for the chassis.
Appreciate your time.
But in the end, I don't think it'll matter too much for us. And so as we go to the end of the episode then, obviously we got out-qualified and embarrassed by Vettel in qualifying. In the race, we had some contact with him. Obviously, the game hasn't really decided whose fault that is, but in the end, I was defeated by Vettel, and so my reputation is back to naught with Ferrari. So that is, well, some things just never change, do they, in this season? So we'll kind of get to that later. For now, it's not really affecting us too much. We'll choose a rival. We're going to choose Nico Hulkenberg, since I keep finding him on the race circuit every single race now lately. I'm going to choose him as my main rival. It would seem kind of only fitting for that, but to be honest, it could have been anyone in that top flight there. And now, towards the end of the episode, we will spend some resource points now on some more upgrades. There was a suggestion in the comments that I should spend some on some weight redistribution. That might help my balancing of the car, and so I'm going to listen to that comment. I'm going to purchase one minor upgrade on the chassis side of things, and then we're also going to go for some fuel consumption upgrades, because I feel like making the engine even better, because, you know, it's the thing that pulled us through, the thing that allowed Vettel to win, and the thing that allowed me to make the recovery drive. And so with even more fuel consumption upgrades, that means we can run in rich mix for even longer, and for next episode at Italy, that is going to come in some major handy. Of course, we're on throttle for so long on the lap, so that's going to come in clutch there for us today. But all in all, pretty exciting episode, I guess you could say, but I still enjoyed that. The fight back at the end was so fun, but in the end, also a little bit of a bittersweet taste in my mouth, because yeah, well, we crashed with our teammate there. That was a bit of a Ferrari Civil War sort of situation, so that was not what you want to see. But, you know, those things happen sometimes when you're fighting hammer and tong for a race lead in an F1 championship. But, guys, if you did enjoy that episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.